Hey internet friend, this is Magic Brad with Synergy Cafe and the Synergy Collaborative, and I have my friend Anthony Signorelli here. How you doing?
Good, Brad. How are you?
Doing well.
Good.
It's a rainy day. Yesterday, were you out driving?
Yep. It was
Downpour.
wet. Yep.
But before that, we had like 5-6 beautiful days here. Minneapolis, Minnesota. You're in St. Paul.
St. Paul, yes.
The Twin Cities.
The better city.
So I don't do these real long because we have that commodity of time that people have, and we've only got 24 hours in a day, so we zip through this, and then people can digest it however they feel
Sure.
sufficient.
All right.
So one of the first things is, who's Anthony? Are you married? You got kids? You got you're wild and crazy?
Well, I am actually divorced. I have two kids. They're beautiful young ladies, 24 and 20 years old, and in theater. One's in college. The other one's getting a start in theater. They're great kids, really fun, really creative, and cool to be around. Probably the biggest Shakespeare nerds you could ever think of.
Well, theater's got to be good here because I
Yes.
heard that there's more theaters in Minneapolis, St. Paul than there are in New York.
It's true. Per capita, it's
Wow.
true. Yes, there's a lot of theaters and a lot of theater stuff here. So they are very good and very happy. And partly, I think they got some of that from both me and their mom. In terms of their interest in writing and literature and creativity, and that's how they sort of got going. Yeah.
Well, that kind of goes into the next question. That is like, what is it that you do? I know that you're a writer because I've seen
Yes.
some of your books, and so you must do other things.
Right. So I'm primarily an author, and I have several books that are out right now. Some on political philosophy, one called Call to Liberty, one called Speculations on Post-Capitalism, one called What is Liberalism? What these books are, though, in their essence, is that they're trying to communicate to people to help them understand the future. So that's really what my work is about, and on that level. And then the other ones are about kind of the inner life of people and human beings, and especially men. I'm particularly interested in men, in mythology, poetry, and that kind of thing, so to help enliven the inner life, which is also actually about the future. So it's about creating better lives for everybody at the inner world level, but also on the outer world level. And that's really where my best writing goes.
It's interesting that you want to do this. You're on this men path thing because there's all this Me Too movement
Yes.
thing that's been happening, and I know that there's this whole Age of Aquarius thing where the female energy
Yep.
is taking over, and I think the men feel a little threatened all of a sudden because this female energy is getting to be more popular and powerful. The
Right.
whole women empowerment.
Yeah, well, and the Age of Aquarius, and if you think about it from that standpoint, is really about, or one of the places where it's going to manifest is probably the destruction of the patriarchy, or at least what has been called the patriarchy.
Well, I look at like male energy is more digital, logical, and female energy is more emotional and flowing. So that hierarchy kind of dominance kind of thing isn't going to play anymore.
The hierarchy won't. I mean, that's what's happening, and you can see it. What's interesting about it, though, is that in many ways, what's driving the change in the hierarchy is, in fact, the digitalization of everything. Because as we create more and more and more flat networks, that becomes a metaphor that's very different from the metaphor of the last 500 years, which were all built on hierarchy. And so now, as we go into these networks, digital networks like the ones that you and I are involved in, and many other, almost everybody's involved in, those become flat, they become voluntary, they become very different kinds of ways of being together than what people are used to today. That's where I write. Post-capitalism is a lot about that, and what that means for society and on the many different levels.
So I get what you're doing here is sort of show people the future of what is going to be happening unless we change our ways or try and understand it a little bit better. Because I know you get on Facebook and stuff and you see these rants and there's no emotion in it. There's just my opinion and logic. I mean, there's emotion in it, but you can't really understand a person's emotional feeling when they're typing. So you might be saying something to somebody that's really emotionally hurt, and you're hurting them even more because you think it's just typing. It's
Right.
more than that.
Right.
And you don't, even those little emojis really don't do it.
Right.
Anyways, I don't want to get too much into that, but it
Yeah.
sounds like your books would help people.
Yeah, it's all about
With
that,
all
right?
stuff.
It's all about kind of describing those things and anticipating the future and being.
Where do you write? I mean, do you just write in your own home office? Do you go to coffee shops? Where do you do your work? Where
Yes,
does
yes,
it
yes,
come out?
yes, and yes.
Okay.
I
Where
actually,
there's a pen?
yeah, I actually do a number of different things. I do a lot of writing at home, in my place. I also write, I have writing sessions at a small center for the arts that I also operate called Blue Harbor Center for the Arts. We have many writing groups that take place over there. And I like to take people on retreats, writing retreats. And these are not that, typically when people think of writing retreats and conferences, they're thinking about, there's a teacher there, somebody they really want to learn from, give them guidance on, maybe give them exercises, creative exercises, guidance on how to build better character, et cetera, et cetera. These are not that. These are just time to write. Structured writing time. You write for a while, then you take a break, then you write for a while. So you socialize in between, you get a little break.
If there's a teacher, it's more of a class or a workshop.
Right,
thing. 'Cause
right.
we've done those in Costa Rica, we got that land in Costa Rica.
Yep.
And that's what it is. You come together, you talk a little bit about it, and then you split up and you go,
Right.
right.
Yeah. Yes.
Correct.
Right. And so the thing is, we don't do any of it. We just say, okay, you bring in your project. We're going to structure the time for you to be able to do your writing, so that if you go to a weekend, like the weekends that we do up north, when I do those, we'll take 5, 6, 8 people up or whatever, and you'll get 18 hours of writing in a weekend, which is a lot of writing. And but it's done. You do it because you're supported by everybody else. Kind of the energy flows together with everybody, and people find, especially like first draft people, it's like you can write 10 or 12,000 words in a weekend.
Well, that's what's cool about a retreat where you get away, because you don't have that, oh my God, I got an appointment
Exactly.
coming up. It's
Yep.
kind of like it's more female open energy.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
For sure.
So let's see. I got my favorite question is the last one, but I also want to see. That's that one. My favorite question. My favorite question is why? Why do you do this as opposed to why aren't you like a ski instructor or I know you sail, a sailing instructor. Why do you do what you do? Why?
Well, there's 2 reasons. One is because I care, and I care about the world, the future, and where things are going, and am intrigued by that. But the more honest answer is that this is what stimulates me inside my soul, my heart, and I feel like at the end of the day, the way that we all want to live is something that Joseph Campbell said. And Joseph Campbell, when he was being interviewed by Bill Moyers back in 1990 or whatever, Moyers asked him, he said, well, what about everybody looking for the meaning of life? And Campbell said, I don't think everybody's really looking for the meaning of life. He said, what I think people are actually looking for is the experience of the rapture of being alive. And to me, those words have stuck with me ever since I heard them. And so writing for me, being with other writers, working in ideas, exploring poetry, doing some of the men's work with drumming and working on Me Too things, those invigorate me. Those bring me vitality. Those are how I can experience that rapture of being alive. And so I experienced it through that. Other people do it through other things. But that for me, that's kind of like fundamentally the creed, is to open the imagination and the heart so that you can do that. That's how I do it.
So it's more like being in the moment rather than...
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the experience. And then on top of that, I, like many other people, have a bigger picture, right? I mean, I want the world to be a better place. I see it going to hell in a handbasket in certain ways with climate change and many other problems going on. And I want to do what I can to address those things. Because I have kids,
Right.
and we have new generations, and we
And
have new
friends
people come
and
along,
other
friends and everybody else we all
relationships.
care about,
Well, I don't want to do these too long because people do have that busy life. So I'd like to maybe segment this out and do some other things on specific topics. It'd be fun to do that and maybe pull that together too.
All
So
right.
I'm going to sign this off. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brad.
Peace, love, and happiness. This is Magic Brad with the Synergy Collaborative and Anthony Signorelli. Be well.
Peace, love, and happiness.